OST 2016. This is interviews, music reviews, and more. This is The Hodder Show.
What is up, everybody? We are Rolling Audio here today on episode 384 of The Hodder Show. I hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Thank you so very much for tuning in and clicking that play button on today's episode of the podcast. I've got a brutal episode for you here today. I chat with my new buddy, Adam Baldwin from Fleshguzzler, the one-man metal machine himself. And we talk all about how he got started with music, some of his favorite music from when he was younger up till now, how he got started with his solo project, and how it kind of started off as a joke, actually, with a Christmas song of all things, and how that has now evolved into a full project with the release of his album, Fools of the Cross, and also lots of fun little tangents, and you're going to get to hear a song from that album, and let's just say it is freaking brutal, and it's actually my favorite song on the album, so I know you guys are going to enjoy that. And also, I am coming out of video podcast retirement for this one, even though you can't see me right now because, let's be honest, intro and outro, who really cares if there's video? It's just me sitting here. I promise you're not missing anything. But this interview was the first time I've done a Zoom call in a while. And because of a few shenanigans that happened during the conversation, I decided to use the video. It's not perfect. It's not pretty, but you guys will understand why I wanted to use it when you see it, especially the first 2 minutes of it. you will understand. And then the last half, Adam actually shows off some gear. So I was like, we got to use it for that. I mean, come on. So there are some parts where I think at one point I said in the conversation, oh, you guys can't see it, but because at that point I didn't plan on using the video, but here we are. So if you are listening to this on Spotify or Apple or however else you're listening to this, if you do want to see the video, I will have it up on YouTube. You can go check it out. Again, keep in mind, if you're currently listening to this on YouTube, did I just say you poop? Whatever. I'm going to leave it in. Fuck it. We're feeling punchy here today. If you are listening to this on YouTube, stay tuned because you will get the full interview with Adam in video in just a moment. Before we jump into the episode, I want to thank everybody for their support on last week's episode of the show, my chat with Jonesy from Jonesy's Corner podcast. Big shout outs to Jonesy and all of his supporters for coming out and listening to that episode. I very much appreciate it. And I appreciate you, Jonesy, buddy. Thanks for coming on. With that, folks, we are ready to roll into this episode here today. My chat with the one-man metal machine, Adam Baldwin from Fleshguzzler. Let's get into it. All right, guys, we're here with the one-man metal machine himself, Mr. Adam Baldwin from Fleshguzzler. Adam, what's up, brother? How are you?
Not much. I'm going good. How about you?
I'm doing great, man. It's great to have you on to have a chat with you. I know that I am thoroughly enjoying the hell out of the EP, man. And it is probably, if I'm being honest with you, you're probably one of the most intense bands I've ever had on the show by quite a bit. So this is going to be a lot of fun to chat with you, man.
Nice.
Sorry, I'm dealing with a cat here as we're chatting here. Oh,
yeah.
Man.
Cats are welcome to be fans as well.
Yeah, he's a fan. This is Morty. You know, say hi, Morty. Y'all can't see him, but Morty, really? Come on, say hi. Turn around. Say hi. Turn around. Wait, you guys are gonna hear him. There you go. He's a fan of the product. Just wanted to say hi. But
yeah, he's wearing Clark's paint.
Yeah, sick. Yeah, he actually, you know what? That's actually hilarious. Is he kind of is black and the white. Do you have corpse paint on, bro? Yeah, he also really likes Crowbar, so there's that.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, throw up the horns, Morty. Yeah, all right. So, dude, I want to dive into what makes you tick as a musician because you have such an interesting style, blending kind of the more traditional death metal with blackened death metal and a bunch of other stuff thrown in there. So what got you started with music? What was some of the first music you heard? What started you on this journey?
Well, probably the first heavy thing, like a lot of people, Metallica, Probably Black Album specifically, and I loved it. And obviously things just got heavier and heavier from there. But like, yeah, this project specifically, it started. I was with a pop punk band and having lots of fun with that. But all the demos I would send them, the feedback was, this is too heavy. This is not a pop punk song. If I wrote something, it was just be like, this cool, but like not our shit.
Too much tremolo picking, bro. Gotta
Yeah,
back off.
exactly. So anyway, we went to see the movie with, I think it's Adam Scott, called Krampus. And after we saw that as a band together, and I had these thoughts in mind, like, I just want to write heavy things. So I was just like, fuck it, I'm gonna do everything. And I came out with Flight of the Krampus. And it was yeah, it was mostly a joke to start with, and then I was like, but I can actually kind of do it. So yeah, went from there.
Well, and what's so cool about listening back to Flight of the Krampus, which, as a fan of Christmas-related horror stuff, as is always tradition here on the show, I always do some kind of horror content at Christmas time. I loved it because I saw your other Christmas song you dropped last year. Uh, sorry, which one was it there? Yeah, On Tides of Yule. Wanted to make sure I didn't fuck up the name. And I was like, this is awesome. Like, I'm so in on anything to do with, obviously, yes, Christmas is wonderful, happy time of year, but also let's get some dark shit going and have some fun. Like, I'm all in on that.
Well,
So to then go back, yeah, exactly. To then go back and listen to Flight of the Krampus, I'm like, yo, this is ridiculous. Like, just, and knowing that's where this kind of whole thing started is so awesome. But even seeing how much your voice changed from that to where it is now, like,
yeah, I learned how to
ridiculous.
not like destroy my vocal cords.
Were you doing any, just to go back for a second, so in the pop punk band, were you doing any vocals or anything, or were you just playing
No,
bass?
no, just playing bass. Yeah.
So you had no experience with vocals before then. It was just, let's just figure this out and blow my voice out
Yeah.
trying to.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Were you listening to, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just, I was done. It's just experimental. That's it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's just a fun way of saying we just had some fucking fun, bro. Like, that's what it's all about. So before then, did you listen to that kind of metal beforehand, or what were you listening to for the most part?
Yeah, I was definitely got into like Immortal and Mayhem and yeah, those Scandinavian bands. They have, and the funny thing is, they're if you look into their lore, it's almost as unbelievable as their music. Like, it's just it's wild. Like, people killing each other, burning down shit. It's obviously a little chaotic and not something I stand behind, but it's very
just a little bit.
just a little bit, right?
You're not one of those guys who was like, I think that's like the thing when someone thinks of like black metal, they're like, well, you all just want to kill each other. It's like, bro, that's a very select like group.
Yeah. They had some issues to work with. I mean, it's tough. There's like part of the year, there's like hardly any sun up north there. So I think that's a lot to do with it. So they just get depressed.
There's a reason the music is is the way it is, I guess.
Yeah.
That's it. So were you also like listening to pop punk and stuff in the time? And what, if you go back, what was some of the first music that you ever heard that like made you want to play music?
That's interesting. Possibly again, like Metallica and like classics like Led Zeppelin. Like I started with drums. Like my mom wanted me to play some sort of musical instrument, so she's like, learn piano. Now I wish I kept with it, but
I was gonna say that was
uh,
a good call, bro. It's a great
yeah.
foundation.
But I was like, I hated it so much, and then she's like, okay, well, what do you want to do? I was like, well, drums are pretty cool. You just like hit things. Like I just want to do that. So yeah, then obviously like John Bonham and here. Um, but yeah, just pretty much I would say like heavy music really got me into playing music. So that's why I've always had much more affinity to it than playing pop punk. Not that that can't be heavy in its own right too, but and I enjoy it, but it's just it seems like my calling to just like do the aggressive stuff, and so that's what I do.
You just wanted some breakdowns and some just ridiculously heavy passages,
Yeah, yeah.
which I get. Well, you mentioned Metallica, so I have to ask. You had mentioned earlier that the Black Album was kind of where you got started with Metallica. Post Black Album, are you a fan of that era of Metallica? I always like to ask.
Uh it's tough. Like obviously Saint Anger's weird as fuck. There's some good songs on Death Magnetic. I don't know why they mastered it so loud. It's so aggressively loud, every part of it. So it's almost hard to listen to at times, but there are some good songs on there. What they're doing now is kind of okay too, but it's like it's almost become formulaic in a way. I don't know. I don't want to say that because everything kind of does have a formula, right?
Right.
But I don't know.
It's
Um,
it's more like so just to open that up. Um, my favorite Metallica record's Load. So, there you go. That's
okay. Yeah.
and I'm one of the people who actually like Saint Anger for some moments of Saint Anger. Obviously
Yeah.
not, well, I stare out my dirty window. Like, okay, I get it, but like, I get, but like, Saint Anger itself, like, get out of here, dude. That fucking riff still holds up.
It is good, right? Like it's and like yeah, the snare drum sounded horrible, but it was unique as fuck. Like, I don't know. There's something to be said about that.
Yeah, there are some bands that have tried to channel that now too. Like I think it was Code Orange. They had a song Out for Blood, and it was this super like new metally type song, and they had that Lars Ulrich snare in it. And I
Right.
remember everyone was like shitting on it. And then there was a producer who did a video and he was like, here's how it would sound without that. And it sounded terrible. Like it was so dead sounding. He was like,
Yeah.
so, sometimes it can sound cool. Well, it sounds like he's banging on a trash can. Yeah, and sometimes that's cool as hell, bro. Like, look at
Yeah.
Slipknot, for God's sakes. Like, they,
Yeah.
they made a career out
I
of it.
I was recently talking to a guy. I brought my album to a local record store for like one of those little consignment, puts it on the shelf. Maybe someone would buy it. But I was talking to the guy. Turns out I knew him from way back, and he was saying, "This is, I think, pretty good advice, and I might experiment with it a little bit more." He was like, "Don't worry so much about perfect drum sounds. Do something weird, like like Tom Waits used to hit cabinets with a 2x4, and that's the snare. That's that can work in metal too. Like obviously it does in Slipknot sometimes. The one time they got a guy to drink a bunch of water and then beat his belly with a baseball bat. The guys in Slipknot.
And it's like, what the hell? Well, that's like, I always say, it's what I love so much about metal, and also what I love so much about horror, by the way, is you can do whatever you want. You can have a trash can in your song. You can have just the most ridiculous layering vocals that sound like just utter chaos. You can have 8 or 9 guitars playing the same thing in just a wall of sound. Like
Yeah.
you can do like the Rob Zombie vocals where you have like the third or fourth take is like slightly off on the mix, so it just sounds like, and everyone's like, how does he do that? I'm like, bro, just take your track and go beep. Like it's
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, the little funny things you can do with recording equipment.
yeah, it's always ridiculous, but also like, you know, the fantastical side of things, which I know you more lean in towards. So I have to ask, where does that come from for you to kind of lean into the more fantastical side of the death metal and the black metal and things of that nature?
I'm not really I'm not really sure. I think it's just like an urge to be theatrical, but I was never really into like theater per se, like acting or anything like that. Um, but I love like movies when they're directed well and framed well. And so I just want to capture that kind of those kind of theatrical elements in what I do, because I just want to make it like kind of an experience. Like, and that's why I have like the booklet. I don't know if you saw any of these, but I have like images for all the songs associated with them. So I just like I like associating um visual with auditory, because it just kind of completes the experience, I think.
Yeah, it's not just a, hey, here's some songs with an album cover, go nuts. It's
Yeah.
like, it's very much like, it's funny how you said like theatrical, because it's very much, that's the vibe that I get from what you're doing is, yes, it's, you know, it's great death metal, black and death metal, whatever the proper term is, but also it's you can visualize a lot with the music. Like I mentioned to you probably 7 or 8 times now since we've been talking, that Gorged and Dripping is by far my favorite track from Fools for the Cross, which by the way is the album. Check it out. I'll have a link down below, and maybe we'll hear a little something from it in a bit, because I think that'd be a lot of fun. But when when you hear the name Fleshguzzler, you're like, geez, like what is this? Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'll be brutally honest with you. At first, when you reached out, I was like, okay, like we got some mutual friends. Like, okay, cool. And it was like Fleshguzzler, and I was like, geez, like what is this gonna be like? Fools for the Cross. But then like I listened to it, and I'm like, okay, it's not like, there's still, like I was saying to you earlier, even in the most, and I say this with love, the most ridiculous parts of the songs, there's still like some melody happening with the instrumentation, which is what I think makes great death metal and heavy music. Is you can still, stomp your foot to it. You can still kind of bob along to it. It's not like just blast beats the entire fucking time, which is cool. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
that's just
Yeah.
more the school I come from. But even
Which I
like
was
with,
thinking about recently, and I kind of actually want to just do that as an experiment, just like a whole song that's just like absolutely nuts.
and
Just
just
like
like one
time.
vocal take that's just like, like just fucking like blow your voice out doing it. Which, don't get me wrong, I think that's sick. But I'm like, do you want a whole album of that?
Yeah.
But even like with, my point is like with Gorged and Dripping, like I'm listening to this and I'm picturing everything that's going on. I'm very much a fan of like horror narration podcasts, and I mean, for God's sakes, it's what I do also. So like I love the theater of the mind type shit, and that's what I love so much about this song. Even just the musical parts, I'm like, I can visualize like walking down like a hallway with like blood dripping from the walls and gore everywhere, and like just, then there's this crazy dude who's screaming at me, but he has like 8 different voices screaming at me, and just it's very much horror-esque is my point.
Yeah, I love it. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. I love it. That's a great description. Yeah.
So so then obviously are you a fan of horror as well, or?
Yeah, kind of a new fan, to be honest. Just in the past, like 5 or 6 years, I've been really getting into it. Like as far as watching horror movies, and yeah, I really like. Um, oh my God, the Nightmare on Elm Street movies are so good. The one gets weird, but the first one is dope. Like all those images of like the blood and shit like that, like the exploding in the room. It's I wish I could achieve that for a music video. Some of those practical effects are just like I just love practical effects. It's just so important for me in a good horror film to have practical effects.
Definitely. Well, and I think the music lends itself super well to the more practical side of horror as well. I think that's why I love this stuff so much, is I'm just like it correlates so well to that world, and you can really, it's almost like I said, it's almost like a theater of the mind type shit.
Yeah, well, it's a little bit raw and a little bit like what's happening there, and then it's like, oh, but like the beat is synced and there's actually a melody going on, so it's kind of like a little bit of both
Mm-hmm.
to keep people interested.
Yeah, definitely. And as much as it's like, it's almost like there's a little bit of a shock value with some of the imagery and maybe the naming. And I mean, for God's sakes, the band name itself, there's definitely a
Yeah,
little bit of shock value happening, but it's not like shock value for the sake of shock value,
yeah.
like
I
there's
want to
some
shock.
out there that are ridiculous.
Yeah, I want to shock you to bring you in, and also not for just the reason of shock, because um if you read some of the, now I'll have lyric videos coming out soon, but yeah, you'll see in some of the lyrics it's like a little bit of shocking imagery, but some of it is kind of seems a little warranted. Like there's like yeah, I don't want to get into the politics maybe.
I know. I mean, just based off the album "Fools for the Cross," I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. I would think for some people.
there's
Yeah.
there's some things that I think people, especially in Canada, know about, like, and it's like this is kind of well, not especially in Canada, really. No, because like it's all over, and yeah, it just sucks when people are taken advantage of for seemingly like, oh, it's like, oh, I'm gonna be righteous and help you, but I'm not helping anyone.
Which is a concept that I think, even not from the standpoint of religion, like, we've all been in situations where, you know, oh, I'm a good person. If anyone goes out of their way to say things like, I'm a good person, and they tell everyone how good of a person they are all the time, it's like, you're probably a psychopath. Like, in my
Yeah,
experience, like,
yeah,
people who have some, talk about their flaws and shit like that, that's more like, I'm like, okay, you're a real human being. Cool. You're probably still a great guy, but like, you're a real human being. If it's
yeah.
like, yes, I spend all of my free time volunteering at the soup kitchen and blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, there's something, you're probably like a serial murderer or something. Sorry. But like, in
It's
my
like it's like
experience,
it's like when people say, "Oh, I'm not racist." It's like, well, I wasn't thinking you were until you said that.
now you said that. Thank you. Yes. It's just like, I mean, listen, I don't want to get political, but, and then they proceed to, well, like, I don't hate this person, but, I'm not political, but if you're not white, it's like, okay, that's, what I'm like, I've heard it all, bro. I've heard it all. I'm just like, oh, okay, all right, man. Well, we were talking about the hockey game, but all right, you you have a good day, man. Like, so you can I think that kind of metaphorical lyrical content to can lend itself so well to multiple people, where some of it can be pretty on the nose, but some of it can be still a little vague.
Yeah, yeah,
That's when I think it gets really cool.
yeah. And I'm using words and imagery that are like consistent with like the black metal lore, kind of like um crosses upside down. Like that's basically what Gorged and Dripping is about. It's like, it's describing like um what if Jesus was crucified, like, and he's just like his body wasn't intact because he still had the holes in his hands, right? Like on my album cover. What if he was just like walking around like a foot and a hand there, and his head's like, hey guys.
Hey guys, what's going on? It's like, yeah, well, and that's it. Like you can, and I mean, listen, at the end of the day, like it's all fantasy. It's all, for the theatrical shock of what it is, but
Yeah,
it's still a kind of hilarious thing to think about. Some people
yeah,
might hear that and be
yeah.
like, oh, blasphemy. It's like, bro,
Yeah.
relax. Like,
I try to make things like a little bit tongue in cheek. Like there's a message there, but if you don't want the message, you can just like enjoy some metal. Like that's kind of what I'm trying to achieve at least.
right. But also, like, with the, talking about practical effects of gore and horror and stuff like that, like, even for on Spotify, looking at the album cover or the single cover for Gorge and Dripping, like, you have like the little, well, not a little cut, like you have the cut with the blood dripping and everything. And I'm still shocked that got past the censors. I'm not gonna lie to you, that still shocks me, but I'm really happy it did. Like, because it's really great. How did you achieve that? 'Cause that's a great, it looks like a practical effect to me.
Yeah, it's makeup. I think she still does like gore effects makeup. Taylor Keller. Wish I could remember her account name for her effect, but yeah, it's makeup and fake blood, and yeah, it was a fun shoot. Like that's all the it was that and the one for Flesh of Yahweh where I have the apple and also the album cover, which is kind of, I went to the Hermitage. So like a little ruins around here, and yeah, just dressed up in white sheet and pretended to be satanic Jesus for a couple hours. Yeah, yeah,
Who doesn't like to be satanic Jesus once in a while?
yeah.
Well, and that's interesting. Like, with just looking at the actual imagery and what you're all doing here, it's very cool that you're doing it all kind of DIY as well. Because I can't fathom sometimes, like, that world fascinates me. Where it's like, how do you get that to this? Like, that whole world fascinates me.
Yeah, it's a little tough. Like I had some mishaps, like my computer spit out some CDs that were wrong, and so I had to replace those. And the thing about it is, if you're doing everything in house, you can fix it pretty quick, which is nice. Because if I was to send away my CDs and then they came back and they were wrong, then I'd have to wait another month for them to come back in. So just kind of shit like that I like to do. I like the aspect of it being in the house. Like it comes with its flaws, but then it also like has a silver lining to it. So, and I can do whatever the hell I want. I think it's possible like I might reach out to some other some other video people just to get some more professional camera shots for some upcoming music videos. But I do have one video coming up. We're still shooting it. It's for the song Ano Nihilo. And yeah, I'm playing all the instruments, and should be a fun one. Yeah, I'm not going to put a date on it because we're still working on it, but should be fun little DIY shoot. And yeah.
That's sick. That's awesome. I love it. Talking about a little bit about the lore, so to speak, behind Fleshguzzler. First off, was that right away the first name that you had in the running for the band? I have to ask. And where did the name come from?
I think yeah, I don't remember if I had anything else that just came and I was like, that's it. That's got to be it. And I looked it up and no one else had it, and I was like, yep. It's also funny too because I'm vegan, so it's like a little bit of a again, tongue in cheek, you know. So I'm called Fleshguzzler, but I don't guzzle any flesh.
I eat carrots, bro. It's like metal as fuck. No, no, I'm just kidding. So it's sorry.
Carrot guzzler.
Yeah. Carrot guzzler just doesn't quite have the same,
Yeah.
That's a joke, folks.
Yeah. That's not bad.
Yeah. What was it?
Cabbage guzzler.
Cabbage. Yo. When you guys go to see, we're going to see fucking Cabbage Guzzler tonight, bro. It's like, yo, yeah, man, it's gonna be ridiculous. I'm gonna murder someone in the pit. It's like, what? Oh, dude, I love it. Yeah, no, and I think it's cool that you can still have fun with it and have that very much the theatrical fantasy thing, not getting too caught up in like literally calling yourself Cabbage Guzzler or some shit. Obviously that's a joke, but like it's cool to be able to think outside the box on that.
It's kind of like it's kind of like riding a line. It's like one of my favorite bands actually is Propagandy, and they ride that line of serious and comedy, and it's like they've established this niche for themselves where it's like they can be taken serious, and also the next song is actually a joke song, some shit like that. Like yeah, so I love that, like about like that theatricalness. That's probably not a word, but
it is now.
Of just being able to go between serious and funny, because life can be serious and funny at the same time. Sometimes someone dies and it's like, shit, they kind of died in a funny ass way.
Yeah, and I think that's it's funny you mentioned, because I was just having this conversation with someone, because my generation, like I'm 32, I don't know how old you are, but like, so my generation and people within like 5 to 6 years of my generation, some of us sometimes can still be a little serious about stuff like that. Like they'll see like a meme, especially like when it comes to like the meme world and shit, man. Like I remember like that whole like thing that happened with that sub there a few months ago, whatever the hell that was. That whole situation, like I hate that people died. Obviously, I don't want people to die, but at the same time, bro, you got in the fucking sub with a dude who was using a game controller to control it, and you didn't think, maybe let's not do this. Like that was your initial first thought. Like, bro, it doesn't matter how much money you have. Like, just so when I saw a meme for it and shit, like I kind of thought it was hilarious. But then some people I know who are like my age were like, bro, this is not funny. So like it's kind of a generational thing, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's an acquired taste, and maybe like if you weren't like in that generation, like making those dark jokes, like I'm 29, so like we're pretty age. So like I think we have a little bit of I wouldn't necessarily say nihilistic, but maybe like cynical view of the world. Like we might like to make jokes a little bit, like because what else are you gonna do? Like cry about it,
Yeah,
you know?
man. We have grown up and come up in some pretty just wild shit. Like
Yeah,
just we saw, we saw the world pre 9/11, we saw the world post 9/11. And unfortunately, that is a very different place. So like
yeah,
you can either, and even like the generations coming up now, like they have no filter when it comes to, like, they're even worse. And it's like sometimes it's like, holy crap, like, okay, let's let's maybe let's maybe pull back on that a little bit, buddy. But like sometimes it's also just like, look, you can't take things so seriously all the time. Some things you should be serious and you should be respectful, and you should make sure you're not using it as like a deflective thing, obviously, because I want everyone to be happy and mentally healthy and having a good time. But at the same time, sometimes all you can do is just laugh about stuff, man. It just, you have to. You can't take it so seriously.
that's right. Sometimes laughing a little.
Yeah, it's the best way to be. And I think that what you're doing with Fleshguzzler is obviously, again, like we've said, it's a fun theatrical, not so serious look at things, but then also the musicality is there and it's serious. What you're doing vocally is freaking ridiculous and awesome, and I love every second of it. And the presentation of what you're doing is so wicked from the standpoint of the fact that you put the care into like having a CD with a booklet, which, by the way, I'm like, when was the last time I saw a guy do a DIY album and he had a full booklet with the lyrics and visualization for each song? I can't personally tell you that. It's been a while. So it's awesome to see how much care you're putting into your product, but also the overall just, I mean, at the end of the day, it's also branding, I guess, in a way, but like just the overall presentation of what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, like everything I do is like I figure it out as I go along. Like my logo is it's I made this logo. Well, that has a filter on it, but initially it's markers and a ruler on paper, and then I cut it out and then put it through my scanner and then like put all the letters together and made it a logo that says Fleshguzzler. So it's really, really, really DIY.
Which it looks, it's not like, I mean, hey, could you do something like that in like Photoshop with a font thing? Maybe, but it's not gonna look the same. There's a little bit of an edge to it. There's a little bit of like an unperfect look to it, which is, again,
it's a little off.
it's a little sketchy. But like some of the best things in life are a little sketchy sometimes. Like, listen,
Yeah, exactly.
if you're like, oh yeah, there's that taco place is my favorite or whatever. It's like, oh well, doesn't that give you like mad runs? It's like, yeah, but like,
But it's worth it.
well, they have the best this or whatever. Or, sometimes you just have to go with it, and oh, this is my favorite. It's like, listen, I'm sitting here drinking a coffee. And it's like, I know in like another hour it's over.
Yeah,
I'm like, you know what? I got to do it because I'm going to enjoy it in the moment.
exactly.
Sometimes you just got to go for it, folks. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
It's the most ridiculous analogy I think I've ever made on this podcast in 8 years, but hey, we're going to roll with it anyway. Dude, well, I think it would be a wonderful time right now to let the folks listening in at home experience some Fleshguzzler. Now, if you had to pick, I'm going to put you on the spot here. If you had to pick a song that would be the one that you would want people to hear first, which one would that be? Would it be one of the singles, or give me one that you would like people to hear?
I think it would be Gorged and Dripping.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's sick because, like, I mean, like I said, I'm not gonna lie to you, that is my favorite track. So that's the one I was hoping you'd say, but
It's got some different like like dynamics to it. So there's like range for like, I do this and then I also do this for someone to like listen as their first listen. I think it would be probably good.
Wicked. All right, folks. Well, right now, crank it up. You are going to love every second of this. This right here, you guys are about to hear, is Gorged and Dripping by Fleshguzzler. And then we're going to come back and continue our chat with the man behind it, Adam. This is Gorged and Dripping. for those of us who are still with us and alive after that just freaking ridiculous song, Gorge and Dripping by Fleshguzzler. Welcome back. We're, of course, still here with Adam Baldwin, who is the one-man metal machine behind what you just heard. Adam, dude, I don't even really know where to start, so I'm just going to ask a question that has been on my mind since I heard Gorge and Dripping. How are you able to just talk normally all the time with how much different styles of vocals that you have going on in that song? Like, my voice would be shredded. I wouldn't even be able to form a sentence anymore. Like, there's like 3 or 4 different layers of different types of voices going on in that. And it's insane, dude.
Well, full disclosure, there were a few 2 or 3 days throughout the like week and a half of periodically recording vocals. My voice was not doing too good. It does take its toll. Like, and I'm not like classically trained or even trained hardly at all vocalist. So I'll look up YouTube videos. I'll get pointers from people I know who are good vocalists. But yeah, sometimes I make some weird noises and it hurts. It really does.
That's I dabble a bit in like horror voice narration and stuff like that. And sometimes if I have to like voice like a demon or something like that, and I have to really like do some weird sounds, I'll throw my voice out so I can kind of sort of relate in a way to having to do some crazy shit when it comes to that. But like, you have like, there's like throat singing going on, like there's so much just wild shit happening. And is that just strictly from the standpoint of you just trying stuff in the studio, or did you kind of have an idea of what you wanted to do when you set out for that vocally?
I would say column A and column B, because you figure shit out as you go along, and you're like, oh, okay, that would be cool here. But then there's also points that are definitely like, I wanted it to sound exactly like that. Like when it really comes in and the guitars go like, wow, like I really wanted it to sound like that. I think I was listening to a lot of Gojira at the time, so I really wanted some like guitar sound effect kind of thing. And I just did that by just hitting the guitar. I muted all the strings but one and just hit it really hard. So it probably like goes up and down like notes. Like it'd be probably weird, like on the tuning pedal. It'd be like A B C D E F G.
Well, as a fan of Gojira, that makes me happy. So quickly before we continue, I have to ask, what's your favorite Gojira song?
Oh, global warming. Yeah.
Solid choice. I gotta go with Stranded. I can't help it.
Yeah.
That song changed my life, dude. Straight up. Yeah. I was like, they do so much with that chorus and like just some power chords. Like, I'm like, that's one of the most powerful choruses in like metal to me. Well, metal, hard rock, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I love it.
Gojira's fucking off. I love Gojira. I saw Mastodon and Gojira this summer. It was fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, I can't beat that. That's a hell of a lineup for sure. But it's cool. So then also in the standpoint of like from a drum standpoint, you've got some cool but really tasteful heavy stuff going on. And then obviously on the bass, you've got gnarly tones happening, some great, again, tasteful but still really diverse riffs happen on the bass and the guitar. And your bass tone for that, obviously the guitar tone is stellar, but the bass tone for that was so fucking cool. So I have to ask, what were you using in the studio for that? And if you can show us here on the video, if you guys are watching the video right now, because I want to dive into all that.
The tone. this big fella here. That's the dark glass alpha omega ultra. I don't know what ultra means, but it's got 7 EQ knobs or dials, sorry, and it's got a growl and a bite thing, and it's yeah, it's dope. I'll usually when I'm recording, I'll keep the drive down because it's like you want to hear more of the clean tone, and then you can EQ it more later. In the one song, actually, Flesh of Yahweh, I believe I used my Turbo Rat. So I used some bass distortion on there. So that's Turbo Rat's fun. And that's yeah, I got probably yeah, the whole album is recorded on my Fender Jazz bass. And yeah, I like it except for these bridge things that play kind of hard sometimes, and these bridge pegs start going down and I need to line them back up. I don't know why. Otherwise, really, really fucking good bass.
And then while we're here on the conversation, obviously for those folks who are watching the video there, you have some other gear behind you. I'm just being a gear nerd. I'd have to ask. So what's that bass to your over your right shoulder, the 5-string there?
One, yeah. Yeah, this is 5-string Toby by Tobias. It's I don't know if you've heard of MTD basses. They're a really high-end custom shop bass company. And the one guy, I think he's Michael Tobias, he worked for Epiphone. So this is kind of like an offshoot of that. So long story short, it's basically an Epiphone. Yeah. It's got active pickups though. I don't turn them, I don't use the like extra gain on it because I have the Alpha Omega. But yeah, I mostly use this for when I do live shows. I'll use this for my older stuff that's in drop D, and I won't really use the top. So I'll tune it to A if I want to have like a really low fifth, but yeah, I'll just use the top 4 here. But yeah, also pretty good bass. Doesn't have as much issues with the tuning pegs, or not the tuning pegs, the bridge pegs here. So better bridge on that one. Definitely lighter than the Fender. I'll say that.
Being a 5-string, it's probably a little more solid, I would have to imagine, at the bridge.
Yeah, maybe, yeah, because it has to keep a little more tension. Yeah.
When you're playing bass, do you? I think I've seen that you do the finger thing instead of the pick thing, or do you just kind of whatever is better for the song?
Yeah, I've pretty much just gone to I used to play around with a pick a little bit. Now I just kind of well, I'm in a place now where I can just kind of do my thing, and so far I haven't really had any points where I was like, oh, I need a pick in there. Because usually I would, when I was using a pick, I would just use it because I was like, I couldn't think of anything else to play that wasn't the guitar part, and the guitar part was so it's like, okay, I gotta use a pick because it's really fast. Because like, and I don't use 3 fingers, so like I'm not like Robert Trujillo or anything, just 2 fingers. But yeah, I just play a like if there's like a fast thing, I don't necessarily have to do all those notes. I'll emphasize the specific ones, like more like a traditional kind of bass, like like not like actual death metal bass at all, really. Like kind of like upright bass style, if anything. Like lots of boom, ba, boom, ba. Like I just like that shit. Like I like it a little funky, and yeah.
That's it. Well, then I have to ask, obviously, about that beautiful LTD EX behind you. We were chatting before we started the conversation, but I have to ask about that and show the folks at home. Which, by the way, I think we have the same interface. I just saw it behind you when you stood up.
Sure.
Yeah, is that the? Sorry, what was yours?
Steinberg.
Yeah, Steinberg UR22.
Yep.
MK2.
Yep.
That's
the one.
That's hilarious. I'm so lame. I was just like, is that the Steinberg?
Yeah, it's a good product. I actually use it to split. Yeah, perfect.
Here's mine. Hey, look, guys. Hey, mine doesn't look as nice, but
I use it to do to split vocals, and when I jam with two vocalists, and actually has gain on it. So if the little PA speaker I have isn't putting up enough power, I just turn the gain up, and it's fine for jamming vocals. So yeah, this is the LTD here. It's I got this in Buffalo somewhere, and it's got nothing in here, and it's got a Seymour Duncan blackout in here. It's pretty dope. It's a little on the heavy side, and it kind of fucking droops down when you play it, but yeah, solid guitar. No regrets on this one.
you could always do the. I don't remember what it was, who was doing it, but it was a famous guy who I remember seeing a video on, and he talked about how he had a guitar that was neck heavy like that, or the style of. I think it was a guy who was playing Flying V's. I don't remember who it was, but he was saying how maybe it was Zach Wilde. It was why he started doing the whole like chain guitar strap thing, because he would put in the strap section, he would put like a ridiculous like heavy hook, and then that's how he would link up his guitar so that it would not do the whole neck drop thing.
Yeah.
Something to think about.
Well, you know what I've seen recently? I forget his name. He's the front man for Trivium. He has this guitar strap that it's like, it seems a little bulky, but it's very interesting. If they were to like make it a little like more streamlined, I'd be interested in it. But it lets you basically, you're able to put the guitar wherever you want, and it just stays there. It's like it's kind of like a cross strap kind of thing, and it just kind of like stays there. And it's yeah, I've considered buying it because it's really interesting. Like sometimes I'll like try to go in the crowd and like try to start a mosh, and yeah, don't want to get anyone hit in the head, so I'll just go up like this.
Yeah, so that's Matt Heafy, by the way. I was just looking up. Just sorry, folks, for the signs there, folks. I was just looking up. What? Hang on a sec here. Come on. Yes, accept cookies. I don't care. So that's the. So the main reason he started doing that. I don't know if you know the story behind that. I went through a huge Trivium phase, and I still love Trivium. So like I am a bit of a nerd when it comes to that. But so he started doing the Richter straps, Matt Heafy double guitar strap. And basically why he started doing it was more out of a necessity to protect his back from the weight of the Les Pauls he was playing. So you wrap it underneath the strings between the bridge and the neck pickup, and it helps take the weight off of just your one shoulder when playing a Les Paul. And that was more out of a necessity. He did that. And then people started asking him like, yo, like that would work for a few different things, like what you're mentioning, Adam, about like how it would help the guitar not fall as much. And now
Yeah.
they do sell those, by the way, folks, if you're interested. This one's in euros, so maybe let's not look at the price for that. But yeah, it's Richter guitar straps, Nat Heafy double guitar strap. Something to think about. I always like to dive into stuff like that. If someone brings up something, and I'm like, well, this is actually an interesting point. And also, obviously, before we go here, and I appreciate the time you having a chat with me here today, there's two quick things I want to ask you. Number one, you have a fantastic mustache, and I just have to point that out.
Oh, thank you. I wish I would have waxed it today. I was hilariously being like cyberbullied. It was just stupid, but like someone was just calling me lazy because I didn't wax my mustache. I'm like, hey, I can't do it all the time.
It's ridiculous. People are silly.
Yeah.
But that, as someone who I used to be pretty heavily involved in like the beard community and stuff like that, and like sometimes they can get a little much. Some of the mustache dudes, especially, I knew a few who like they'd spend like 3 hours every day like crafting their mustache. I'm like,
Yeah.
bro, like let's take a step back maybe from that every day. Like,
I'm gonna go in my truck and like drive with the windows down, and it's just gonna be like all over the place. Like that's the main thing. So
yeah, that's awesome though. I love it. And then also, there's a couple of interesting things behind you I wanted to ask about. Number one is I have to ask about that broccoli. Is that just a little broccoli plush, or what is that? I gotta ask
yeah,
about it
it's
because
a
it looks cool as fuck. Just
broccoli fun.
that's awesome. I love it. He looks like he could be screaming, so it kind of fits
Yeah,
the
right.
vibe.
Broccoli has feelings too.
Yeah, man. And then obviously the totally harmless mushroom back there is
Yeah, totally harmless mushroom. Just smiling away.
totally harmless mushroom. I love it. And then obviously shout out to Yamaha. I'm a big Yamaha guitars guy.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah.
also love that Yamaha acoustic there.
This is way out of tune. Actually, it's not that bad.
Not bad, man. Is that so? That's an F series for sure. Is it? Am I right on that?
Yeah, F325.
I was gonna guess an F310, so I would have been close.
Yeah, I haven't played this in a while, to be honest.
Well, what use do you have for an acoustic guitar? Let's be serious. Come on.
Yeah.
Also, I love the what it looks like carrots on the belt there. I just noticed as you were on your belt you're wearing there.
Oh, my
yeah,
belt
yeah,
is
like,
also mushroom.
oh, okay, cool. All on the mushrooms. Okay, I thought it was carrot, so I was like, earlier we were talking about carrot guzzler. I'm all like,
Yeah, we were talking about
oh,
carrots.
mushroom guzzler. That's going to be the new side project from Fleshguzzler is mushroom guzzler. Awesome, dude. Well, before I let you go, one last question I always like to ask everybody to end off. Tell me a story of either your favorite show that you've ever played or your least favorite show you ever played, and it's like kind of a comical story. Or give me both, whatever you decide.
Oh, geez. Oh, geez. Um, you know what's funny? I think one is both. So, and hear me out. This is no disrespect to where I played. So, um, there was this show at I wish it still existed, but they closed down. They got like the cops raided them because they weren't like a real venue. They were like underground, but it's called the Kill Room. And we had a show. I forget what month it was, but it was a snowstorm, and I do snow removal in the winter. So I did snow removal before and after the show. I did the show in my work boots and snow pants.
I love it.
And, yeah. Yeah, it was just like, and the show was so fun. People were just like really really jamming out, and it's in a skate park. Like it was a built into a skate park. They had like ramps and stuff, and I had my wireless, so I was like running around the ramps, and it was just super fun. But yeah, it was a rough night. I was like shoveling snow, clay, and I'm pretty sure I stayed for the rest of the bands, and then went and did some more snow removal. Yeah, so I think that's the best and worst in one.
I love it. I just could picture you like on stage, your phone's just going off the hook, ringing. Like, just, oh, eat this, eat that. It's like, hang on, guys, I played a show. I love it.
Exactly.
That's fantastic. Well, dude, before we go, is there anything else that you want to make sure you touch on? Anything you got coming up that you want to tell the good people about?
Okay, well, listen to my new album, please. I hope you enjoy it. And I have no shows yet booked. I'm gonna, well, I have a few, but we'll see. But definitely this Christmas season, this holiday season, well, I started it last year, and I'm gonna continue the tradition. I'm gonna put out an undisclosed Christmas song, and it's gonna be hopefully heavy as fuck, and yeah, hope you enjoy it.
I love it, dude. I'm all in on the Christmas stuff. So that's really, really exciting to hear. I'll have a link down below in the description of this podcast, folks, for links to go check out Fleshguzzler wherever you can find it. Adam, thanks so much for the time, man. It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, folks, there you have it. My chat with the one-man mental machine himself, Adam Baldwin from Fleshguzzler. Absolutely awesome. It's funny that some of the people who make like some of the most brutal music in the world are like the chillest and like the most fun to talk to. that's what I've always found anyway. I don't know. That's always been my experience. Some of the nicest people in the world make just some of the darkest content when it comes to music and other creative outlets. At least that's my experience thus far in this life. Thank you guys so very much for tuning in. It means the absolute world to me. I hope that you enjoyed that episode. Be sure to check the links down below and support Adam with Fleshguzzler because he very much deserves your support. And if you want to support this podcast, you can check us out wherever you find your podcast. Hit that subscribe button. It definitely helps and means the world to me. You can also follow us on social media. We have Facebook and Instagram. I do have a Discord if you want to join up and have some fun there. Let me know and I will send you a link to the Discord, or I believe you can just search for The Hotter Show on Discord. I think that's a thing. Or if you go on my link tree, which is linktr.ee/The Hotter Show. I know that's really confusing, but I'll also have the link down below in the description of this to join the link tree, or to check out the link tree, I should say. And one of those links will take you to the Discord so you can join. We have a lot of fun over there. That's probably the best way to keep up with everything going on with the show and to have a direct line on the pulse of what goes on here in the world of the Hotter Show and TJ Hotter, because that's just the easiest way to keep in touch with everybody. And if you want to support the show a little further, consider joining the Hotter Show Patreon and becoming a Hothead. Not only will you get access to the Tapes of Trepidation horror narration podcast that I do there, which is way too much fun. With the Christmas month coming up, I have some fun things happening there as well for Christmas, as it is always tradition here on the Hotter Show. And now with Tapes of Trepidation to do some Christmas content. I think there's going to be 4 episodes coming for that, which is insane for me to say out loud because it's going to be a lot of work in a month, but we're going to do it. We're going to have a lot of fun. On top of that, you'll also get a shout out on every single episode of the show in the outro here, just like I'm going to do right now for all of my patrons. We have Ronan Komori from Baseline Feed, Wolf Delta Pi from Baseline Feed, actor extraordinaire Eric Phones, Mike Quintero from Shutter Radio, who actually just made a comeback recently. Go check out Shutter Radio, great horror narration podcast. C.M. Peters from Baseline Feed, Jason Reese from Jaybird Digital Arts, the impromptu creators of The Hodder Show, Terry and Janet Hodder, Brandon Bowden from Bowden Voice, Neil Skrupa from Neurotic Voice, and last but not least, Ian Hall. So if you want a little shout out at the end of every single episode of The Hodder Show, consider joining the Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, I'll give you that shout out. And every cent helps make this podcast better. There are things I would love to do to better this podcast. Full disclosure, I'm so fucking frustrated right now with my current DAW that I went back to Audacity, which is how I'm currently recording this. So I might need to make a change in the products that I use to do this podcast because they've been giving me nothing but grief lately. So as a broke podcaster, I'm not one to beg for money, but I mean, hey, if you want to get some extra bonus content, that'd be super cool and help your boy out every month with a little something, that would be greatly appreciated. I am half-ass joking, by the way, folks, but anyway, either way, I appreciate the support. Even if you just leave a rating, that helps so much. Leave a subscribe, that helps. Let me know what you thought of this episode. If you want to reach out to me for any reason, you can do so through the social media or Discord or thehoddershow@gmail.com. Shoutouts again to Adam Baldwin from Fleshguzzler for coming on. Thank you so much for listening, and I will catch you next time right here on The Hodder Show. Take it easy, guys.